What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a morning show set and finds himself face to face with a host who refuses to show basic respect? In just 48 seconds, a simple question would ignite a firestorm that turned a routine interview into television chaos, exposing the entitled attitude of a host who thought he could say anything without consequences. The Good Morning America studio was buzzing with its usual morning energy. Cameras were positioned perfectly. The audience sat ready. Michael Strawn adjusted his tie and smiled at the teleprompter, confident as always. Next to him sat Robin Roberts and George Stephanopoulos, both shuffling through their notes for the upcoming segment. They were about to interview Denzel Washington, who was there to promote his latest film project. Denzel walked onto the set with his characteristic calm presence. The audience applauded. He shook hands with each host, professional and courteous. He took his seat across from the panel, and the cameras went live. "Welcome back to Good Morning America," Strawn said, flashing his signature smile. "We're here with the legendary Denzel Washington. Denzel, thanks for being here." "Good to be here," Denzel replied, settling into his chair. "So, your new movie," Strawn continued, glancing down at his notes. "I gotta be honest, man. I watched the trailer, and I'm thinking, aren't you getting a little old for these action roles? I mean, how much longer can you keep this up?" The studio went quiet. Robin Roberts shifted uncomfortably in her seat. George looked down at his papers, clearly sensing the tension. Denzel's expression remained calm, but there was a flicker of something in his eyes. "Well, Michael," Denzel said slowly, "I think the work speaks for itself. Age is just a number when you're passionate about what you do." Strawn laughed, but it wasn't a friendly laugh. "Come on, though. You're not exactly doing your own stunts anymore, right? I mean, let's be real here. You've got stunt doubles doing all the heavy lifting while you just show up for the close-ups." Robin interjected quickly, trying to redirect. Denzel has always been known for his dedication to his craft. The film looks incredible. But Strawn wasn't done. He leaned forward, that smile still plastered on his face. "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking. How many more times can you play the tough guy before people start laughing instead of cheering?" Denzel took a deep breath. His jaw tightened slightly. "Michael, I'm not sure what you're trying to accomplish here, but if you've got a problem with me or my work, maybe we should have that conversation off camera." "Oh, no, no, no," Strawn said, waving his hand dismissively. "This is exactly where we should have it. You're a public figure. You put yourself out there. You can handle a few tough questions, can't you?" George tried to jump in. "Maybe we should talk about the actual story of the film. Denzel, can you tell us about your character's journey?" But Strawn cut him off. "Hold on, George. I'm not finished. Denzel, I've been hearing things. People in the industry say you're difficult to work with, that you think you're above everyone else. Is that true?" The other hosts looked horrified. Robin put her hand on Strawn's arm as if to stop him, but he pulled away. Denzel sat perfectly still, his eyes locked on Strawn. "Excuse me?" Denzel said quietly. "You heard me," Strawn continued. "You walk around like you're royalty, like the rules don't apply to you. I mean, you're talented, sure, but you're not God." "Michael," Robin said sharply, "that's enough." "No, Robin, it's not enough," Strawn shot back. "We sit here every day, kissing up to these celebrities, treating them like they're special. And for what? So they can sell their movies and then disappear until they need us again?" Denzel stood up slowly. The microphone clipped to his shirt picked up every word perfectly. "Let me tell you something, Michael. I came here this morning out of respect for this show and its audience. I didn't come here to be disrespected by someone who clearly has some kind of personal issue." "Personal issue?" Strawn laughed. "Man, please. I'm just keeping it real." "No," Denzel said firmly. "You're being disrespectful. There's a difference. I've been doing this for decades. I've worked with hundreds of people, directors, actors, crew members. I treat everyone with respect, from the top to the bottom, and I expect the same in return. Strawn stood up now too, his smile finally gone. Oh, so now I'm disrespectful because I'm not bowing down to you? You're disrespectful because you invited me here under the pretense of a professional interview, and then used it as an opportunity to attack me, Denzel responded. That's not journalism. That's not even good television. That's just you trying to make yourself look big by making me look small. George stood up, trying to create space between them. Gentlemen, please, we're on live television. I don't care if we're on the moon, Denzel said, his voice rising slightly. I'm not going to sit here and let anyone talk to me like this. I don't care who you are or what show this is. Robin was standing now too, her face flushed with embarrassment. Denzel, I am so sorry. This is not how we conduct interviews here. Michael, apologize right now. But Strawn wasn't backing down. Apologize for what? For asking questions? For not treating him like he's untouchable? You didn't ask questions, Denzel said, his voice cutting through the chaos. You made accusations. You insulted me. You tried to humiliate me on national television. And for what? What did you think was going to happen here? I thought you could handle it, Strawn said. I thought the great Denzel Washington could take a little heat. Heat? Denzel shook, his head. This isn't heat. This is disrespect, and I don't have to tolerate it. Not from you, not from anyone. The studio audience was completely silent. Camera operators didn't know where to point their equipment. The producers in the control room were frantically trying to figure out what to do. George tried once more to salvage the situation. Denzel, we value you being here. Michael is just trying to be provocative. Provocative? Denzel turned to George. There's a way to ask challenging questions without being insulting. Every good journalist knows that. But this, he gestured at Strawn, this is something else entirely. Strawn crossed his arms. So what are you going to do? Walk off? Run away because someone didn't worship you? I'm not running away from anything, Denzel said calmly. I'm making a choice. I'm choosing not to participate in whatever this is. I'm choosing to respect myself enough to walk away from a situation where I'm clearly not respected. Classic, Strawn muttered. Can't handle the pressure. Denzel started removing his microphone. Robin moved toward him, her hand outstretched. Denzel, please, we can fix this. We can start over. Robin, you seem like a good person, Denzel said gently. And George, you too. But I can't stay here. This whole thing, he gestured around the set, it's wrong, and I won't be part of it. So you're just going to leave? Strawn challenged. In the middle of a live broadcast? Yes, Denzel said simply. I am. Because unlike some people, I know my worth. I know what I bring to the table, and I know when it's time to walk away. He handed his microphone to a nearby stagehand. The audience was still frozen, unsure if they should react. Strawn took a step forward. You think you're so much better than everyone else. Denzel stopped and turned back. No, Michael. I don't think I'm better than everyone else. I just know I deserve better than this. Every guest who comes on this show deserves better than this. You're supposed to be a professional. You're supposed to make people feel welcome, not tear them down. I'm supposed to ask real questions, Strawn countered. Then ask real questions, Denzel said. Ask about the film. Ask about my process. Ask about my career. Ask challenging questions if you want. But don't attack me personally. Don't make assumptions about who I am or how I treat people. You don't know me. Robin stepped between them. Michael, this has gone too far. But Strawn ignored her. Maybe I know you better than you think. Maybe I see through the whole act. The humble movie star. The dignified artist. Maybe it's all just a performance. Denzel smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. You know what the saddest part of this is? You had an opportunity here. You could have had a real conversation. You could have connected with someone who's been in this business for a long time, who could have shared insights, stories, experiences. But instead, you chose this. You chose to be hostile. You chose to be confrontational. And now, you're going to have to explain to your producers why your guest walked off in the middle of a live show. I'll tell them the truth, Strawn said, that you couldn't handle it. Tell them whatever you want, Denzel replied. But we both know what really happened here. You tried to bully me. You tried to embarrass me. And it didn't work. Because I'm not going to give you that satisfaction. George put his hand on Denzel's shoulder. Denzel, please. Let's just take a break. We can talk about this. Denzel shook his head. There's nothing to talk about, George. I appreciate the gesture, but my decision is made. I'm leaving. The audience began murmuring louder now. People were looking at each other, trying to process what was happening. Some pulled out their phones. Others just sat in stunned silence. Strawn threw his hands up. This is unbelievable. You come on a talk show and you can't handle a conversation? A conversation? Denzel's voice was sharp now. Is that what you think this was? Let me explain something to you, Michael. A conversation involves two people talking with each other. What you did was talk at me. You came in with an agenda. You had your little speech prepared. Your little insults ready to go. That's not a conversation. That's an ambush. Oh, please, Strawn scoffed. You're being dramatic. Am I? Denzel asked. Let's review what just happened here. You questioned my ability to do my job. You suggested I'm too old. You accused me of being difficult to work with. You implied I think I'm above everyone else. You called me out for supposedly using stunt doubles like that's some kind of scandal. And then you had the audacity to say I can't handle the pressure. Tell me, Michael, which part of that was professional journalism? Robin stood between them again, her hands raised. Both of you, please. This is not productive. You're right, Robin, Denzel said, his voice softening when he addressed her. It's not productive, which is exactly why I'm leaving. I don't do unproductive. I don't do drama for drama's sake. I don't do disrespect disguised as honesty. Strawn pointed at him. See, that right there, that attitude, like you're above all this. I never said I was above anything, Denzel countered. But I do have standards. And one of those standards is that I don't let people disrespect me, regardless of the setting. You can call that arrogance if you want. I call it self-respect. Self-respect, Strawn repeated mockingly. You Hollywood types love throwing around words like that. Self-respect, dignity, integrity. It's all just code for I'm too important to be questioned. Denzel stepped closer, his voice low and controlled. No, Michael. Those words mean exactly what they say. And the fact that you're mocking them says everything. Anyone needs to know about you. You're making a huge mistake, Strawn called out. Denzel turned one last time. The only mistake I made was coming here in the first place, but I'm correcting that now. Strawn laughed bitterly. Correcting it? You're running away. That's what this is. You can dress it up with fancy words, but everyone watching knows the truth. The truth? Denzel walked back toward him, and the whole studio seemed to hold its breath. You want to talk about truth? Here's the truth. You're insecure. You see someone who's accomplished things in their career, someone who's earned respect, and it bothers you. So you tear them down. You try to make them look small, so you can feel big. That's ridiculous, Strawn said, but his voice wavered slightly. Is it? Denzel asked. Because from where I'm standing, that's exactly what this looks like. You had a choice this morning. You could have had a great interview. You could have asked about my craft, my experiences, my perspective, but instead, you chose to make it about you, about proving something. What were you trying to prove, Michael? That you're tough? That you're not intimidated by celebrities? That you can go toe-to-toe with anyone? The studio was absolutely silent now. Every eye was on the two men facing each other. Strawn's jaw clenched. I don't have to prove anything to you. Then why did you do this? Denzel asked simply. Why did you turn what should have been a pleasant conversation into this? What did you gain? For a moment, Strawn had no answer. He just stood there, his face reddening. Robin stepped forward again. Denzel, I know you're upset, and you have every right to be. But please, let's just try to salvage this. For the audience, for everyone watching. Denzel looked at her with genuine sympathy. Robin, I respect you immensely. I really do. But I can't salvage this. Some things are broken beyond repair. And this interview was broken from the moment Michael decided to attack me instead of talk with me. George cleared his throat. What if we started over? Fresh questions? Fresh energy? With him. Denzel gestured toward Strawn. No thank you. I don't trust him. He showed me who he is. And I believe him. Oh, you don't trust me. Strawn jumped back in. That's rich. You don't even know me. I know enough, Denzel replied. I know that you're willing to be cruel for ratings. I know that you think being provocative is the same as being interesting. I know that you don't have the basic decency to treat a guest with respect. That's all I need to know. Robin had tears in her eyes. I'm so sorry, Denzel. This is not who we are. I believe you, Robin, Denzel said softly, but it is who he is, and that's something you're going to have to deal with. The cameras were still rolling as Denzel walked toward the exit. His posture was straight, his head held high. He didn't rush. He didn't storm off. He simply walked away with dignity. Strawn stood in the middle of the set, his arms still crossed. Good riddance. Robin whirled on him. What is wrong with you? Do you have any idea what you just did? I did my job, Strawn said defensively. Your job? George was angry now, too. Your job is to conduct interviews, not to attack people. You just humiliated one of the most respected actors in the world on live television. He humiliated himself by walking off, Strawn shot back. No, Robin said firmly. You humiliated this show. You humiliated all of us. And you humiliated yourself. The studio audience began to murmur. Some people were standing up, unsure of what to do. The energy in the room had completely shifted. We need to go to commercial, George said, looking toward the control room. But the damage was already done. The clip would be everywhere within minutes. Social media would explode. The network would be in crisis mode. And it all happened because of one man's ego. Back near the exit, Denzel paused. A young production assistant approached him nervously. Mr. Washington, is there anything I can get you? Denzel smiled at her kindly. No, thank you. I'm fine. You take care of yourself. I'm sorry about what happened, she whispered. Don't be sorry, Denzel told her. You didn't do anything wrong. Remember that. When you see people behaving badly, it's not a reflection on you. It's a reflection on them. She nodded, clearly moved by his words. As Denzel finally left the studio, the chaos continued, on set. Robin and George were trying to regroup, trying to figure out how to continue the show. Strawn was being led away by a producer, still arguing that he had done nothing wrong. The audience was buzzing with conversation. Some people were pulling out their phones, already texting and posting about what they had just witnessed. Others were shaking their heads in disbelief. One camera operator turned to another. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never seen anything like that. Me neither, his colleague replied. And honestly, I don't blame him for walking out. That was brutal. On the set, Robin addressed the remaining cameras. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue with the show. But her voice was shaking. Her hands were trembling. This wasn't just another day at the office. This was a disaster. George sat down heavily in his chair. He rubbed his face with both hands. I can't believe this just happened. Believe it, Robin said quietly. Because now, we have to deal with it. Strawn had been escorted to a back room, but his voice could still be heard echoing through the corridors. I was just doing my job. Why is everyone acting like I committed a crime? A senior producer followed him. Michael, you need to calm down. We need to talk about this. There's nothing to talk about, Strawn yelled. I asked. Tough questions. That's what I'm supposed to do. There's a difference between tough questions and personal attacks, the producer said firmly. And you crossed that line multiple times. Meanwhile, in the hallway outside the studio, Denzel was approached by several staff members. Each one apologized. Each one expressed their embarrassment at what had transpired. You handled that with such grace, one woman said. I would have lost my temper. Losing your temper is easy, Denzel replied. Maintaining your dignity is harder, but it's always worth it. Another staff member asked, Are you okay? That must have been really upsetting. I'm fine, Denzel assured him. I've dealt with worse, but thank you for asking. As he made his way toward the building exit, Denzel reflected on what had just occurred. He had been in the entertainment industry for decades. He had faced criticism, rejection, and challenges. But rarely had he encountered such blatant disrespect in such a public forum. What troubled him most wasn't the personal attack. He had thick skin. What troubled him was the precedent it set. If hosts could treat guests this way without consequence, what message did that send? That ratings mattered more than respect? That confrontation was more valuable than conversation? Back in the studio, the commercial break was ending. Robin and George had to continue the show, but the energy was completely different. They both looked shell-shocked. Welcome back, Robin said, her voice barely steady. We want to apologize for what you just witnessed. That is not the kind of show we run here at Good Morning America. George nodded. We pride ourselves on respectful, professional interviews. What happened earlier does not reflect our values or our standards. In the back room, Strawn was watching on a monitor. The producer stood next to him. You see what's happening? They're apologizing because of you. They're overreacting, Strawn insisted. No, Michael. You overreacted. You let your ego get in the way of professionalism, and now everyone is paying the price. Strawn's phone was buzzing constantly. Text messages, calls, social media notifications. The incident was already viral. People were taking sides. Most of them were not on his side. He read one comment aloud. Michael Strawn showed his true colors today. Denzel Washington is a class act. Strawn is a disgrace. Another one. Imagine being so insecure that you have to attack Denzel Washington to feel important. And another. Good Morning America needs to fire Strawn immediately. That was disgusting. The producer watched him scroll through the messages. This is just the beginning. By tonight, this will be the top story everywhere. News outlets, entertainment shows, social media. Everyone will be talking about this. Strawn put his phone down. For the first time, a flicker of doubt crossed his face. I was just trying to make good. Television. Good television doesn't require humiliating your guests, the producer said. Good television comes from genuine connection, interesting questions, and mutual respect. You had none of that today. In the studio, Robin and George were interviewing their next guest, but their hearts clearly weren't in it. They were going through the motions, counting down the minutes until the show ended. During another commercial break, Robin turned to George. I've never been so embarrassed in my entire career. Same, George agreed. And the worst part is, we couldn't stop it. It happened so fast. We should have stopped it sooner, Robin said. The moment he made that first inappropriate comment, we should have shut it down. You're right, George said. We failed Denzel. We failed our audience. We failed ourselves. The show finally ended. As the cameras turned off, the staff began to disperse. Everyone was talking about what had happened. Some were angry at Strawn. Others were worried about their jobs. A few were already updating their resumes. Robin went straight to her dressing room and closed the door. She sat down and put her head in her hands. In all her years of broadcasting, she had never experienced anything like this. George knocked on her door a few minutes later. "Robin, can I come in?" "Yeah," she called out. He entered and sat down across from her. "We need to make a statement." "The network will handle it," Robin said. "No, I mean us. Personally. We need to reach out to Denzel. We need to apologize properly." Robin nodded. "You're absolutely right. I'll call him." Across the building, Strawn was still in the back room with the producer. The initial shock was wearing off, and reality was setting in. "What happens now?" he asked quietly. "Now, you deal with the consequences," the producer said. "There will be meetings. Lots of meetings. With the network executives, with the sponsors, with legal. This is serious, Michael." "I know," Strawn said, but his voice lacked conviction. "I don't think you do," the producer replied. "You just destroyed your relationship with one of Hollywood's biggest stars. You damaged the reputation of this show. You upset your co-hosts, and you gave the competition ammunition for weeks, maybe months." Strawn stood up and paced the room. "It wasn't supposed to go like this." "Then what was it supposed to be?" the producer asked. "What were you thinking?" "I thought I could push him a little, get a reaction. Make it interesting," Strawn admitted. "Push him?" the producer repeated incredulously. "You didn't push him. You attacked him. There's a massive difference." Outside the building, news crews were already gathering. Word had spread quickly. Reporters wanted statements. Cameras were ready. This was the story of the day. Denzel had long since left, but his presence still lingered. Staff members couldn't stop talking about how calm he had been, how dignified his exit was, how he had maintained his composure even in the face of such disrespect. "That's what a real professional looks like," one camera operator said to another. "Yeah," his colleague agreed. "And we just saw what the opposite looks like too." Inside, Robin had gotten Denzel's number from his publicist and was preparing to call. She took a deep breath, dialed, and waited. "Hello?" Denzel's voice came through the phone. "Denzel, it's Robin Roberts. I just wanted to call personally and apologize for what happened today. There is no excuse for how you were treated." There was a pause. Then Denzel spoke. "Robin, I appreciate the call. I know you and George weren't part of that. You both tried to intervene." "We should have done more," Robin said, her voice breaking slightly. "We should have stopped it sooner." "You did what you could in the moment," Denzel replied. "I don't hold you or George responsible, but I hope you understand why I had to leave." "Completely," Robin said. "You handled it with more grace than most people would have. I'm just so sorry you were put in that position." "Thank you for saying that," Denzel said. "I hope you know I have nothing but respect for you and George. This situation was about one person's behavior, not the whole show." After they hung up, Robin felt slightly better, but the weight of the day still pressed down on her. She knew this incident would follow them for a long time. George made a similar call, expressing his own apologies and regrets. Denzel was gracious with him as well, acknowledging that some situations spiral out of control despite everyone's best efforts. As the day wore on, the story grew bigger and bigger. Entertainment websites posted articles with headlines like, "Denzel Washington walks off Good Morning America after heated exchange," and "Michael Strawn under fire for disrespectful interview." Social media was brutal. Hashtags started trending. Memes were created. Everyone had an opinion, and the vast majority sided with Denzel. One tweet summed it up perfectly. "Denzel Washington showed us what dignity looks like. He didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't fight. He simply said this is not acceptable and walked away. That's power. Another popular post read, Michael Strawn forgot that respect is earned, not demanded. Denzel Washington didn't owe him anything, especially not after being disrespected on live TV. Celebrity colleagues of Denzel began posting their support. Directors he had worked with, actors he had mentored, industry professionals who had witnessed his kindness and professionalism over the years. Meanwhile, support for Strawn was nearly non-existent. Even his defenders struggled to justify his behavior. The best they could offer was that perhaps he had a bad day or that the pressure of live television got to him. But these excuses fell flat. Everyone knew that experienced hosts dealt with pressure every day. That didn't give them license to attack their guests. In the days following the incident, the fallout would continue. Sponsors would reconsider their relationships. Network executives would hold emergency meetings. The entire culture of morning show interviews would be examined and questioned. But in that moment, as the sun began to set on one of the most chaotic days in Good Morning America history, one thing was crystal clear. Denzel Washington had walked into that studio as a respected actor and had walked out as something more, a symbol of dignity, a reminder that self-respect matters more than fame or publicity, a testament to the power of knowing your worth and refusing to compromise it. And Michael Strawn had revealed something about himself too, that beneath the smile and the charm, there was an arrogance, an entitlement, a belief that he could say whatever he wanted without consequence. He was wrong about that. The consequences were just beginning. The audience had seen who he really was, and they wouldn't forget.